I have a Patreon, and I would very much appreciate it if you would check that out, please. Thank you. So, last time we discovered what happens when you split the party. You make a character that conditions the GM into making a literal tidal wave of cats. Yeah, check out my last video if you want to see the context for that. Well, at least the other half of the party couldn't have gotten themselves into that level of havoc. Right? Okay, so before we get into this, I might have been overly generous describing Felix as being heroic last time. While he started the adventure as a hopeful wannabe Indiana Jones type, the sheer misery enforced on him by the world and his other party members drove him down a spiral of getting high off his own potions and not giving any more fucks. Whenever he's not trying to do roguish sneaking things, and never succeeding due to wrathful dice, he's trying to do alchemisty bomb creating, almost always detonating on himself, either for tactical reasons or by accident. He mostly came with the Skeld team because he couldn't stand the people on the other team anymore. But anyways, the good enough guy team traveled to Skeld to help against the orc marauders that threatened the city. When they arrived, they found there was already a hastily constructed wall protecting the west side, though it wouldn't hold forever. They quickly found the guard captain and explained that they're here to help in any way they can. Fortunately, he was already coming up with a plan, and had 3 volunteers already to help enact it. First is Irving, my character, a super strong halfling lumberjack, the finest in his guild, able to cut down trees with a single swing and carry them around with a single hand. He also helps the town by doing repair work for anyone who needs it. He and his friends are responsible for the wall and will do anything to protect his loved ones. On the opposite side of the spectrum is Kipro, a dwarven banker. All he cares about is keeping his assets in ravage. There was also his interns, all young hairless dwarves who were so indentured that they now only communicated by vibrating. No one really likes him, but he's good with a gun, so he was better than nothing. He probably came along because he thought his interns would do all the work. The interns that ran off every time they looked like something dangerous might happen. Whoops. Lastly, there's Egg. She's an eccentric gnome alchemist who lives in, well, a giant egg. She's also famous for her, soup? Felix had one taste of the forbidden broth, and... So with everyone assembled, the captain explained his plan. The orcs are formidable, but not very well structured. Ergo, if the party could infiltrate the base, assassinate the leader, and frame one of his underlings for the murder, they'd devolve into infighting. Classic divide and conquer. And so, with their target assigned to them, the backup squad heads out. Getting as close as they could to the enemy camp without getting detected, the group tries to formulate a plan on how to assassinate the warlord. Orcs aren't traditionally easy to kill after all. As it just so happens though, Egg had a massive ass bomb on her, which they could use to take him out. Why Egg had such a massive explosive on her, no one dared ask. So Katrina, Egg, and Irving were sent in to sneak through the camp. Everyone else stayed behind as Dia couldn't sneak, Felix was getting off his soup high, and Kipro couldn't be bothered. Actually, Kipro's original plan was to send the interns, but... come on, man. So anyways, they found the warlord in the process of cooking an entire deer while giving orders to his second-in-command. After dismissing her to eat in private, Katrina made her move, using the cantrip Ghost Sound as a distraction. This distracted him long enough for Egg to sneak in and plant the bomb unnoticed. They immediately bolted, and while they were quickly caught by the camp patrol, they were soon distracted by... And that is the story of how we stopped an orc invasion before it even started. Wait, something's wrong. There's still half a video left. I didn't forget anything, right? We're not supposed to cover this Kragadon stuff until the next Oh, fuck! We were supposed to frame someone! Yeah, so as it turns out, with the army knowing for absolute certain who's responsible, we created a rallying point for the invaders. You know, the absolute opposite of the thing we were sent there to create. We're good at... So, with the entire invading force on our heels, We barely made it back to the wall in time, now with the entire Auror Court outside our doorstep.
What did you do? You had one job!
What? We killed the leader, like you said. It's not our fault that things ended like this.
You were supposed to turn them against each other, not you!
Oh.
Soon enough, the second, now first, in command stood defiantly in front of the wall and screamed out her ultimatum. Skeleton Trash! I personally challenge your best fighter to a duel to the death! Your victory will mean I will leave your hovel be! My victory will mean your voluntary surrender! Now who dares challenge me? Most of the party were still level 1, so none of them really had good odds against this new leader. Regardless, Dia stood up. The army formed a ring around the two combatants. One-on-one, no outside help. It ends when one of them dies. Aside from standing the best chance out of anyone, Dia was not afraid to die for a mistake. The battle began. Dia was raised by dwarves, believing herself to be a dwarf until she was older. She was well trained in the dwarven art of combat. Even so, with a series of bad rolls and the overwhelming strength of her opponent, Dia was just not able to overcome her adversary. The warlord raised her sword. This looked like it was it. But Egg shot an arrow at the leader, cause really, as if we'd honor voluntary surrender, or let our friend die. Since that was definitely outside help, the warlord immediately called for an attack. And so the battle for Skeld began, a party of level 1 and 2 adventurers versus an entire orc horde. Most of the party jumped right to the front lines, except Kipro, who could attack from the back lines, or he could have, if his gun didn't jam immediately. So everyone else was in the heart of battle, trying to either deal damage or heal it. Felix was also there, though he realized too late that
I'm a rogue alchemist. What am I doing on the front lines?
and quickly got himself surrounded. Meanwhile, the warlord continued her assault on Dia. She was gonna die one way or another. Fortunately, Kipro unjammed his gun in time.
Aha! Take this, suckers!
Are you freaking kidding me? The situation looked more grim by the second. The few scout soldiers helping out were dropping quick, and there just seemed to be no end to them. Was a turnaround even possible by this point? Yes. And as it turns out, it was through the same way that we got into this mess. Egg and her massive bombs. Not only were these bombs AoEs, but the dice was stupidly favorable in terms of dealing damage. Egg was single-handedly the biggest DPS on our team. There was fire everywhere, there were rocks being flung in the sky, the earth was shaking. It was like a modern World War I or II out there. And one of our other alchemists? Well, he was still surrounded and taking on a lot of damage. It was then he got a brilliant idea. Blew himself up! Again, because it sure worked the last 20 times, so he threw the bomb to his feet, and he was the only one knocked out. The orcs were a little confused, but unfazed. Irving saved them, don't worry. Take note, class. Good alchemists have their bombs detonate away from them. Bad alchemists, like Felix here, had his bomb detonate right on top of him. Good alchemist, bad alchemist. Good alchemist, bad alchemist. Anyways, with Katrina's healing, Dia finally got the upper hand against the warlord and pushed her right into the path of Egg's explosive bombs. This massive chunk of damage finally deterred her from continuing the assault and gave the order to retreat. And so, the city was finally saved. Minimal amount of deaths, dozens of bombs gone off, and not a single shot off from Kipro's gun. Wait, hang on! Yes, major victory! I have contributed to society! Everyone else's victory is consequential compared to mine! So anyways, the guard captain asked Dia if she would like to stay as a new city guardian. She had to refuse, unfortunately, because the ticking clock that is her curse was still in effect. They'd had to leave now if they wanted to cure themselves in time. And so, after a quick rest, the party gave a fond farewell to their new friends, and Kipro. And they were on the road again, traveling to Kraganon to meet back with the rest of the party and find the one that cursed them. Surely, in the time that they were gone, the other team found some valuable leads and not caused too much chaos. Right?